Hello again everyone, and welcome back to this series on how to draw wild animals. Before we start, of course, as usual, if you could subscribe, that would be fabulous. And also, ring that little bell icon if you want to know what's coming up next. Okay, well, the wild animal today is a polar bear. And I'm going to draw it kind of almost as if it's moving past your line of vision, but turning around to snarl at you. Okay, a rather frightening prospect. Okay, and I'm going to start with a curve at the top here, which is the top of his head. And then at the end of that shallow curve, you get the ears. Again, just these two curved shapes like that, an internal shape. And directly across from that, you have the eyes. One about here, and you're very near the top of the head actually. One about here, like that. That's that curved almond shape, see that? Another one about here, nearer this ear. Coming in the curve, like that. And then what you're going to get is the shape of the muzzle. The muzzle comes up and a curve just above the eyes like that, and then carries on down another side of the face. You get a wrinkle on the top of the snout here. And just below that, the great black nose, which is typical of the polar bear. Come down to there. And the muzzle shape continues out and curves back in about here, just below the nose here, the first part of the top rather of his open mouth. Now it's not a straight line, it's a curve like that, which curves up slightly and then down in a long, slightly curving line like that, and he's roaring at you. This curve comes down like that, right down to almost a point, but it's a very tight curve there, okay? And at the top here, we're going to see his top fangs, one there, another one coming in there, and below here, we have a gap, and then a row of teeth and two great big fangs sticking up, like that, with little teeth in between there, and a big dark gap here. And below that, you have this hairy chin coming in like that. And then a nice big curve. These like fluffy, puffy cheeks coming out like this, you know. Not curly in the least. Never try to kill up to a polar bear. And another one here, a nice big curve like that. So there's the rough shape. And of course, this part of the snout will come down and kind of join into that line there. And then, of course, where you have the line of the hair kind of coming out on the other side here, giving a bit of shading there. And also under the eye, it's in here. Okay, but I'll be putting that in the pen later. Now, as I say, he's coming across the field of vision this way. And just below that, you'd have his neck, which you can't quite see, and then the curve of his shoulders coming in there to the small of his back, and then kind of sloping up to the rear end. A big curve like that. Okay, see that long shape? And from here, we have his chest, because he was sticking his neck forward. So the neck will be foreshortened. But you see his chest just under here, and then this leg will go back like that, quite broad at the top. And I see that great thickness here, but coming up past the line of his underside, which is here. And this great leg will come down to his paws. And that again, great long, flattish paws with 5 great toes with very wicked looking black nails on them, and talons, like that. That's one, and this other one, he'd be supporting himself by pushing this one forward. And that, again, very broad at the top, coming down to, again, this flatness underneath here. And his wicked looking claws. 5 of those. Here, 4, 5 and behind there. And then here, the back legs, of course, very wide at the top, come into a curve, in that kind of shape there. And the leg, this graceful curve back, like that. These shapes appear thicker because of the fur, lots of heavy, thick fur. Back to the feet at the bottom again now. Again, a bit longer than the front paws, like that. 2, 3, 4 and 1 coming in there, 5. And the other leg behind there, you can imagine coming in and the foot appearing just about here. Coming in like that. And you can imagine them walking in a snowy landscape or a berg or something, iceberg. Okay, so there we have the basic shape of the polar bear, panning around to snarl at you. You looking at me? Like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get a pen and we'll start to put in some details. Okay, now for the sketching, what I did was just use fairly straightforward lines like that. But when you start to put the details on, you're going to try and get the character of your animal. So obviously it's on the head, kind of spiky fur. So you use these kind of spiky lines going across the top, like that. Okay. Slightly smoother around the ear there. And a little bit of shading in here, like that. Down to the eyes. I can fill those in black actually, like that. Okay, and you got a slight bit of hairy shading just above it, almost like eyebrows coming in like that. And then of course we put in the muzzle shape like that. Coming down the side. Let's go back up to the nose now, put that in. It's almost like a hexagon, that kind of shape there. And we'll fill that in. And just below we have the top of the wide open mouth coming in here, with the fangs, one there. And in the polar bear, it's also black just below here. So we can shade that in, and then take a few strokes just on either side. They don't want it too black, but joining in something like that, okay? And carry on with the open mouth now, coming down past these fangs here, right to the bottom. And get this fang in there, and this one, and the teeth in between. And then this part here is black, and the open mouth is black as well, and you'll see the graphic quality of this once I shade that in black. There, let's finish that off. And then we continue with the black lines down either side of the wide open mouth now. Into here. And the kind of jagged lines again for the hair, the hairy chin. And around the side of the face here too. Again, these short lines coming up like that. Imagine the hair sticking out there. And also, as I said, when I use the pencil shading, just a little bit of shading in there. And also some lines coming out here, because that's the way the fur is is lying on his face like that. So you get that kind of, right? And I'll go back to that in a minute. But what I'm going to do now is eventually go around the outside, but I'll just show you how to sketch in the actual fur of the animal itself. Again, you have to imagine the way that the fur is lying on the animal's body. And in this case here, it's almost like kind of series of necklaces coming out with the line of the hair following the line of the animal. So we're coming around here, you can imagine the kind of ruff or necklace shape coming around in a curve like that. And another one coming off the back of the shoulder. You can do a kind of Z shape like that, coming down. And with some more falling that way. And along the back, the hairs will be going up towards the back line like that. But as they come down, they kind of straighten out and then they start to go that way. So you start to put your hair shapes coming in, carving down this way. And as you come down here, you carve more around like that. So you get that kind of shape there. And of course, as you come around the back end here, the hair will be falling kind of that way. And on down on its leg, and get these kind of hair shapes like that. And this one too. Don't want to put too many, but you also want to give the impression of the shadows that are occurring as well. For instance, under here, under his chest, you get the hair shapes there. This part here will be darker. So when you're putting the kind of hair shading in, what you do is just do a bit more on that part there, down to about here. So put your lines closer together, like that, short strokes. And as you come towards the light, just break it up a bit, like that. So this area is more dense, therefore looks darker. Okay, same with this little bit in here, Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on with that in a second. But first of all, I think what I'll do is I'll get a slightly thicker pen and I'll just outline the whole shape. Okay, this is a slightly thicker pen, so I'm going along the back here. Again, trying to draw or use my pen lines in the way that the hair would be lying on the animal's body. It's slightly sticking up there, coming up like that. Okay, and as it comes around this way, the hair kind of follows that in that direction. Okay, and then starts to come around like that. We can use kind of curly shapes and short strokes. Just get the sensation of the hair all the way around. Right, just finishing off with this heavier pen now for the outlines. And then I'll go back to a slightly finer pen and I'll carry on with some of these bits of shading here for the hair. Nice and light, again trying to, dry that. Try to follow the line of the hair, just to give a sensation of quality of the fur. As I say, you don't have to do too much. Mainly in the areas that might be shaded, like on either side of the leg here. You need the middle part light, so it's catching the light, okay? Like that. And then along the back, hair's going up and then starting to come back down again. Like that, okay? I can move to an even finer pen, and perhaps maybe more work here. Get that slightly angry look by putting a bit of shading in here, as if the eyes are being pulled down. Like that, then that goes above there. And a bit more shading around the eye there. And a bit more here also inside the ear itself. Make that a bit darker. And the hair coming down here. Okay, once I've done that, what I'll do is get a rubber and rub out some of these pencil lines, and it'll make it a bit sharper, a bit clearer. And we can work on these bits here. and down here to make it darker, and around here. Right, I've cleaned up the drawing a bit with rubber, especially around the head here. It's a lot more sharp. And I'm just finishing off bringing some of these wee hairy lines down over the feet. You know, the curve coming around like that. Same with this foot here. And here as well. Excellent. Well, I'll just finish off. That'll do for, you know, an idea of how to sketch a polar bear. You can leave it nice and sketchy like that, or you can carry on walking at it, but don't do too much. You know, you want to do a nice sort of fresh drawing. And what I can do is now take a slightly thicker pen and indicate in, oh, maybe that's not so good, that one. Right, this one here, try that one. Yeah, there we go. Put in the iceberg shape or the snowy hill behind him. He's crawling along. Okay. Excellent. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. And I hope you can join me again for another tutorial. But in the meantime, of course, all the best and happy drawing.